It is super possible to eat healthy on a budget. It all depends on how you shop. So if you're going to stick to the basics, you can totally have a budget. That means if you stick to things like rice, beans, veggies, and fruit, your budget's going to be pretty easy to maintain. If you like to go out to eat at restaurants, if you like to buy a lot of specialty foods and things like that, that's where it gets kind of expensive. But if you keep it super basic, especially if you buy in bulk, like something like rice, you buy in a larger bag, you're going to save a lot of money that way.
So I have had a lot of people say that going vegan and eating plant-based is a lot more expensive.
Purely in terms of price, you are literally removing the most expensive part of your diet. How can removing something from your diet make it more expensive? Like, think about that. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you're subtracting something.
The studies actually show that it's not more expensive. And let me tell you, like, I would say 70% of my diet personally includes beans, brown rice, quinoa, all kinds of things that are actually really cheap. Beans, are you kidding me? Beans and lentils are some of the least expensive things you can buy. And so I'm not sure why vegan diets get this bad name and people think that it's more expensive. It's not at all. And actually, when I just talk to my patients or friends who go plant-based, they always come back and tell me, hey, I've been saving so much money at the grocery store because I'm not buying all that meat and and all that dairy and all those things that are expensive, right? So again, if you're trying to eat on a budget, the last thing you should think about is that you're going to spend more. You're not.
If you stick with like rice, beans, potatoes, things like that, those are some of the cheapest fruits in the world.
So you want to think starches like lentils and legumes. You want to think complex carbohydrates like brown rice, sweet potatoes, vegetables and berries that are very nutrient dense. So get in a lot of greens, get in your broccoli, your peas, nuts and seeds.
You know, you can buy bananas. And oftentimes people bypass bananas when they get brown and spotty, but that's when they're just right. You know, those of us on the inside know that that's the best time to grab them. And so they're great for freezing and using for smoothies.
If you just, follow vegan, whole food, plant-based blogs and get recipe ideas, it's a lot easier than people think. And it's cheaper and it's healthier.
I'm actually working on a project right now with a low-income family of 4. To show how they can eat, especially on a whole food plant-based diet with a low budget. We're actually working with $150 a week for a family of 4 without skimping on nutrition or anything like that.
To eat clean on a budget is really, really easy. And the only thing you really need to do is stick to whole foods. So I've worked out before how much I spend, about $3 on a meal, and throughout the week, unless I buy all fancy vegan items from the groceries, generally my bill of food for the week would be way under $100. Again, cheaper in my competition prep because I go out less and I prep more at home than when I'm in my off season. I'm going out to fancy restaurants and so forth. So stick to basics. If you can pick it and eat it, it's going to be a lot cheaper.
The only time it gets expensive is if you kind of go down that meat substitute style route where you're buying a lot of the fake meats and so forth, as they can be expensive.
It can be expensive, just like eating anything can be expensive. If you're shopping for all of your stuff at Whole Foods, even though now Whole Foods has done a price drop, so everything's getting cheaper. But before, if you were shopping everything at Whole Foods and, buying the artisan vegan cheeses and stuff, it can get expensive. But, fruits and vegetables, rice, all that kind of stuff is not expensive. So you just have to kind of pick and choose.
People are often looking at the substitutions and stuff, like the cheese and the meat and stuff like that. And I would even caution people to say that that's not healthy. We prioritize a lot of things without looking at the fact that the food is the fuel that you're putting in the body, the only body that you have. So why are we not putting that at the top of the priority with our shelter and our clothing? And instead, we're budgeting for fancy cars or manicures twice a month when really, we're saying that buying organic bananas is expensive. That's just simply not true.
Right now in America, the big thing with the fast food chains is, 2 burgers for $4 and $5. Why do you think that meat
is so cheap.
We can blame the government a little bit for subsidizing meat and dairy and making meat and dairy so cheap. But we need to understand that our health is an investment. And when you're eating meat and dairy, even though it's cheap, you're going to pay for it in the long term, whether that be in your medical bills or just ailments that you're going to keep going throughout your entire life. But when you eat healthy, though it might cost you a little bit more up front, it's not going to cost you as much in the long run.
If you want to save money, go vegan.